Not really a place to put it, huh?
Okay.
All right.
We'll let people kind of sit for a little bit, and maybe we can kind of bring some of the noise down so that we can hear the panelists. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for what I'm going to say next. I think David's seen me do this. I usually do this, but what's up, Zeta Live? How are you? Are you good?
Hey!
Are you good? Come on. Amazing panel. David said it was going to be bigger this year than last. I said, I don't believe you. Never say that to David, because I think the reason why it's so big is because he wants to prove to me that it could be bigger. So here we are, and I'm very excited for this panel today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because they're going to do a much better job. You know yourself better than I do. Right. But I'll start with Christopher. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. My name is Christopher Thomas Moore. Most people call me CTM, Chief Digital Officer for Domino's Pizza. Hey!
All right, fans.
Right? But he didn't bring any, so I don't know. Questionable.
Sorry. Next side.
Tammy, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I am Tammy Henault, the Chief Marketing Officer for the NBA.
Right. All right, here we go. And there's a little bit of slide gate because I know they don't have Adam on the slide. But Adam Harder's from Live Golf, so he decided to just play through. So I'm going to let Adam introduce himself real quick.
All right, Adam Harder, Chief Marketing Officer for Live Golf. Good to see you all.
And yes.
Panel crashing.
That's right.
Right. Well, he's been on the panel. Anyway, long story short. So look, today we're going to talk about how you unleash the power, unleash potentials and really strategies for unlocking growth in an ever-changing world. And so we all know whether it's demographic shift, whether it's AI, whether it's technology. I mean, the good news is change is a constant and will probably be for the rest of our lives at least. Maybe our kids will figure out how to stop it. But as it stands now, I don't see it changing other than changing. So, you know, I guess the first question really, and I'm gonna start, Tammy, if you don't mind. You know, what do you see as the most significant change in your industry over the past 5 years, and how has that influenced kind of your strategic approach? And it's interesting because I think the NBA is going through, you know, it's ever evolving, and as it continues to grow as a sport, even I think the highlight of women's basketball now coming to the forefront, there's a lot of moving pieces. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of marketing as an industry as a whole, like the foundation being around like customer insights, data, measurement tools, the marketing technology, everything that's powering and underlying everything that you do day in, day out, I think has just become increasingly important in the past 5 years and before that too. And so just prioritizing the resources, the right tool set, I think has become like #1 mission critical for every marketing organization.
And just, I know you said I couldn't go off script, but I'm going to say one.
You didn't make it.
I promise I wouldn't, but
One question.
should have known better. Should have known better. Yeah, first question out of the gate.
Over the top.
Yeah, 23 minutes. But just in terms of kind of, you said tools, I think prioritizing the tools, can you give us a sense of like where you're putting priority in terms of areas that you're trying to adjust or focus on, kind of just a sense of what are some of the higher priorities from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I think continuing to build up like our CRM stack and ensure that's operating to the level that we want and the complexity of the business and the global business that we have and has opportunity to grow. I think there's more in terms of, you know, from the measurement side that we continue to tweak and want to bring in more partners on. I don't know, just on and on. Of course, looking at everything in the Gen AI space and figuring out what's the right set of tools across the entire organization. I'm sure our company, surely, we have work streams with cross-functional people, and everyone's trying to figure out what's the right set of tools, what's the right governance approach to it.
Governing approach is big, right?
Yeah, I mean, for us, localizing in language is really a key priority for us. So, we're really eager to get to a place where we can have, live localized game highlights and things along those lines. So across content and marketing activation, ultimately everything tracks back to wanting to be more personalized and customized at the end of the day.
Personalization. It's interesting because when I was living in China, I would go to the games on occasion, and fanatics for basketball, and then to see the growth in Africa. So I'm sure that personalization is, the global nature that you have to spend. I'm sure it takes up a lot of your mindset. Okay, Christopher.
Yeah.
Look, you guys have been a pioneer in kind of how you guys are using AI. I don't know if it's making my pizza now or not, but you never know. So we're driving a little car with the thing on top. Yeah. But just talk a little bit about how you guys have been integrating it into kind of your, how you're relating to or connecting to your customer.
Yeah, so technology is really critical for our brand. The Domino's brand has been on the forefront of technology within the food service space for a number of years. And we started early, like with computer vision and spatial computing. Like back in 2018, we launched a campaign called Points for Pies, where you can scan a pizza and then get points even if it wasn't one of our Domino's pizzas. But it was learning these new technologies as they're coming out to really understand how they influence the business and our customers, right? Now where we are is continuing to do everything that Tammy talked about. I think it's so funny because regardless of what industry we're in, and we're all marketers, we're all facing a lot of the same challenges day in and day out. And this topic of personalization is definitely still a very pervasive topic. It's one that if you've been in the game for a while, we've been talking about for like over a decade, personalized one-to-one marketing, But now with the advances in AI technologies, machine learning, we have the ability now to kind of have a higher fidelity of that personalized experience than we ever had before. And so that's a big focus for us, right? And it's really at the end of the day because we don't have a high level of attention span, right? Like it's diminishing. And so trying to make sure that we have very relevant conversations, meaningful conversations with our customers so that we can maintain share is really important, right? And for me, I look at it like just building any relationship, right? If I meet you for the first time, know very little about you, right? And so I'm gonna address you as such. But the more that I have conversations and have experiences with you, there's an expectation for me to have a higher level of customized conversations with you. And so that's what we're trying to do at Domino's. How can we build our relationships with our customers, leveraging personalization technology to help do that?
And it's interesting, I can't remember the person's name, but he was a big social media guy at Domino's, and one of the groups, and or one of the franchisees, I think it's franchise, I don't know, but, and I remember watching kind of the Domino's journey, starting in, Ramon maybe? I wish I could remember his name. Anyway, this is a long time ago. I'm old.
Might be before me.
But, might be before you. But as I hear kind of when we were kind of talking about this topic in Domino's, what are the challenges, and I just ran to somebody backstage who said they felt like they just spent, a day explaining to senior leadership what the internet is. Yeah. So hey. I was like, oh, I would quit. But so the question is how is the organization at a whole embracing it, and what are you doing to help kind of the organization shepherd it through the organization? Yeah,
I mean, we're a really large organization where 90 different countries around the globe employ over 400,000 people. And so as you make these major transformations, it's not easy, right? But we have a leadership organization that is locked in and sees the potential because we're doing a lot of testing, right? And that's what I always tell to marketers is that don't believe the hype. Validate it for yourself. And so we're out here doing our own testing to understand like how these different technologies are influencing the business. And you really can't debate the data. If you have the right methodology for evaluation, the data is the data, and that's going to drive your decisions. And so because of that data support, you have buy-in across the whole business for the things that we're doing. Right.
And are you a Pepsi pour?
Am I what?
Are you guys a Pepsi pour?
No, Pepsi?
Oh, God.
No.
Anyway, Adam,
come on.
We'll take care of him backstage later. So, Adam.
What?
I don't even. No. Okay, so, Adam. We might be back to you, Christopher, not sure. Adam, who we met at Pepsi. And Adam, it's interesting because you've been involved in sports and you've driven some of the largest deals even in the Pepsi ecosystem, including NBA, which was a passion point. Yep. And I know you played 100 rounds of golf, you said, right before this. You found a job that you told me that now you can give an excuse to your wife that you have to golf for work. Yeah. I might be available to take a role. But what I find so fascinating about Live Golf is that when I saw it, I was like, man, here's these guys that are basically disrupting what is maybe a couple of century-old industry that nobody thought would be disrupted, and changing and transforming the game itself. Even just the excitement of the game, and kind of, I'm guessing a brand new audience is coming along with that, a younger kind of, what are you guys doing, and that must be unlocking a ton of growth for you guys, we clearly know, because somebody wanted to acquire you. But how are you guys connecting to the customer from a communication standpoint or a marketing standpoint that's different than what has been done in the space before?
Yeah. First of all, everything you said is right. It's a 6-century-old sport.
Okay, I was off by.
And so, amazing, right? And so when you're coming from where we came from or shared our history,
Pepsi. Go ahead.
Arguably one of the most famous challenger brands, you're trying to figure out how do you come in where there is a status quo and find a way to disrupt it. And one of the biggest things we need to disrupt it for, the reasons why we need to disrupt it, is that we started to see there are people that just love the game and saw that the fan base has been aging out. And we need to bring these new fans into this amazing sport. We don't want it to just be a great game of the past. We want it to be a sport of the future. So there's this mission to rejuvenate the fan base, globalize the sport, and use innovation to drive more excitement and fun and energy. And so that's what the team at Live has been doing, and it's why it excited me to come join the team there and try to figure this out. And one of the things I've been most excited about since I got there is the focus on the fan. Right. And the dedication to really understand this fan. One of the first things we did is took our fan segmentation. We're going through this process right now. We had about 6 different segments that we focused on. We realized that's not who the fans really are. You take a core golf fan, that's not a single segment. It's so many different people touch the game and love the game in different ways. You need to speak to them in a different way. And so we've blown that out to about 60 to 70 different cohorts now. Wow. And now we're going through the process of understanding, all right, what are the highest priority ones? Where can we drive the most growth and bring more people into the ecosystem? So that's where a lot of our energy is trying to figure out how do we grow the game of golf, spread it to every corner of the globe, make sure we understand all of those different passion points and interests from different fans that might be people that we can bring into the game and people that can experience Live, because it is an amazing experience if you've ever gone to one of our events.
No, it's like a party, which is usually how I golf anyway. So I was like, oh, I'm right at home here. But also just staying on golf for one second, things like Top Golf, I think, have helped at least bring an experience to a fan that otherwise didn't really understand how fun golf can be, because they look at it as, okay, I have to go out and play 18 holes, I got to belong to a course, I got to, all those other things. So just curious.
It's so important. What they've done at Top Golf has been amazing. Have a tremendous respect for them, and they're helping us grow the game. The thing that's unique about golf compared to almost any other sport is that our fans are actually, they all play the sport that they love and watch. Right. So it's a little bit different. I mean, I'm semi-retired from my basketball days at 52 now, but always loved playing basketball. But it is one of those games that you can play and be a spectator at the same time, and experiences like Top Golf just bring more people into that fan zone.
Right. And can I ask, is the gender split for Live, where is that sitting now?
Yeah, it's fairly close, 50-50. There's always a little bit more of a male skew. I think when you come to our events, one of the things you'll see right away, if you've been to a lot of golf events, you'll walk in and first of all, you'll feel a great vibe with the music. It's just fun. Right. And the next thing you realize, the average age feels like 10, 15 years younger than what you're used to. And so it's moving in the right direction.
Right. And it's not not a lot of that. So I like
golf but louder.
Right.
It's golf but louder.
Golf but louder. It's interesting, Tammy, I think with the NBA as well, global expansion, but you guys have been expanding. I mean, even the decision to not just be with one network, expanding out in terms of where people can actually see the sport, and it's, but also culture is NBA is such a big driver kind of culture, and it seems like you guys are kind of using technology and AI specifically in a way to connect to the customer uniquely today. Do you also put a culture lens on that, or I'm just trying to get at, how are you adjusting AI to fit within the NBA, world, or where NBA sits in the world, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly talking about how are we incorporating the AI tools, and like I said, it all comes back to how are you personalizing, the experience you're giving to the fans, both in terms of how we're communicating our marketing, but also in terms of how we distribute and offer up our content preferences for our fans. And so on the marketing side, we're really focused on, how do we make our creative speak to a really broad audience, because we have a very broad fan base, but also really tailored and localized to the extent that it needs to speak to a global audience. And so also, lots of segmentation in terms of figuring out, who are avid fans and how are we reaching them with a very broad message. But really, our casual fan base is very varied, and there's different types of passion points or hooks where they have an affinity to the game, whether it's through fashion or music or just broader culture events. And so really figuring out, how do we tailor the message, customize, headlines, creative, copy, even things down to the details of the matchups and the players and the teams. And AI is very helpful in obviously letting us scale to that degree. And then on the content side, it's really focusing on giving our customers the best digital experience as possible. And so as much as we can incorporate, real-time recommendations and highlights that are more curated to our fans, we've just seen the engagement skyrocket. And so in a single season, we get over 25 billion video views across our social accounts and our apps. And so those are a couple ways where AI is really fueling engagement for us.
And then, one of the questions I planned to ask was very similar to what I asked Christopher. And how are you preparing your teams? Because I'm always fascinated. I think, we talk about process all the time. What I tell people is that, I love process, but if people aren't ready, you're gonna have as much process as you want. It's just not gonna work. So what are you doing to kind of prepare the teams?
Yeah. I mean, one, it's just exposing them to a lot of peer conversations and getting them exposed to what are other people talking about? What are the hot topics? What are the challenges? What are the things that are coming down the pike that we really need to start thinking about? I think encouraging usage, of course, from a learning and a development standpoint, making sure that people are upskilled and know how to use all the different tools properly, or even know what the best set of tools potentially out there are. So it's just a training and learning and development program that I have to say is still very much in development, because it also pairs with things like tool selection, governance. Things along those lines. So there's a lot of boxes to check to make sure that you can roll out this AI tool set and make sure it's being used to the maximum.
Well, we'll see. It's interesting. My wife has a baby food business, and my whole point to her is you guys are small enough where AI everything. Let's go see, let's experiment. Not on the food. Don't worry, your baby's a safe. On the marketing, that's the only thing. All right, Christopher, I'm back to you now. I'm giving you the hard questions now as a result of some bad decision making that's been made by your organization. No, but we talked a little bit about this backstage, but a little bit just, so what are some of the trends? When you look out at the next, I hate, what's the next 5 years, but even when you just look out at the next 18 months, what are some of the trends that you're seeing that are gonna shape kind of how we engage, whether it's demographic, whether it's AI, what are the things that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of think of kind of what some of the signals are and kind of movement overall in the industry, I mean, one thing that is pressingly important, I think, for all consumers against all categories is this conversation of value. And how do we articulate value and bring that to life in really meaningful, personalized ways? And so leveraging technology, leveraging, personalization to identify the right value for the right consumer, right? What is going to motivate their behaviors in the most meaningful way? And so I think that that's, something that we're continuing to monitor and how we can do better at that. I think that, again, just the AI and all of this, there's just a lot to come. To me, I think there's a lot of legislation to come in this space because it's very much the Wild West and there needs to be some more reins placed on it. And so I expect to see that coming. Soon, how and if it's going to be state or federal level, I think is a big question that's going to impact all of us, and we need to understand what that's going to look like. I'm really excited as working for a brand that really kind of started food delivery, the continued advancements in autonomous delivery. And, we started that process years ago when we partnered with Ford to build our first autonomous vehicle and then launched a partnership with Neuro some years ago to really understand both the operational experience as well as the consumer experience. So those are 3 categories I think that,
Is delivery, it's interesting that you said that because I thought Uber Eats created delivery, but no.
No, get it right.
DoorDash? No?
No,
Okay.
no.
But it's interesting because do you guys think there's even more advancement coming in delivery?
Yeah, I mean, you see it right now. I mean, you're seeing it through a number of different industry or providers in retail that are, doing drone deliveries via cars. You're seeing, in California, a number of sidewalk, and here actually also sidewalk delivery solutions. And so delivery is going to continue to advance. And I think that we just have to understand what does that mean for both the customer experience and our operation experience. But we have to understand what it means by testing it, right? And so we got to get in the game. And so we've done a lot of testing and done our own kind of education of all these technologies like LiDAR and things like that power those platforms. And so continue to learn and kind of advance as the industry advances will be a big focus.
Got it. Tammy, and I'm trying not to go just boom, boom, boom. Tammy, back to you. When you say AI inside the organization, friend or foe?
Friend.
Okay. Adam?
Huge friend, best friend.
Okay.
For AI, where I think it can really help, what gets me excited is thinking about how do you put the power of creativity into the hands of the fans. We don't want fans to be spectators, we want them to be immersed in the event itself. So our partnership with Google Cloud and using their Vertex AI platform, what our broadcast team and our product team did is recognize that, we might have a world-class broadcast team, but no one can produce the perfect event for every single individual. The best thing to do is give them the power to create their own production. So we've got a product called Any Shot, Anytime that allows you to follow any group, any team. We're Team Golf, so you can follow any team. Bryson DeChambeau's Crushers or John Rahm's Legion 13, you can follow them. And it's giving us the power to do things like
I was going to say, so I can literally go follow Any Shot, Anytime.
Any shot, anytime.
Beautiful.
And you can replay, and you can go back to the scorecard after, look at the scorecard, click on the shot of a specific player, and it will bring up the clip of that specific shot.
Dang.
So now you're giving people the power to produce their own event, right? And so imagine where this is going, which is, I might not have time to watch a 4 or 5 hour golf match, but what I could do is come back and say, you know what, I really want to know, I want to see every drive Bryson DeChambeau hit, or I want to see every birdie that was made. Make it happen, and it will produce that for us. So that's where we're headed with AI, and that I think that's a powerful tool and a powerful way to bring people into the game.
It's interesting because, sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was like, that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, let's get rid of this pizza. I'm going to go join Pepsi and live golf. It's never going to get old for me. No, but it's interesting because we're watching sports evolve, and we talk internally with our business, like, for those that don't know, we announced our big NBC partnership, and we've got a big announcement. We'll become now the largest diverse-owned streamer. And what we talk about is all we really did was just change the customer experience, just like ESPN did. So you used to be able to watch sports everywhere, and ESPN just said, this is an underserved community. People thought it was a niche thing, and they just put it all together and overserved them, and look at where ESPN is. But the sports viewer experience hasn't really changed, and now you're seeing leaps and bounds. I think Olympics was a great example. It sounds like this is a great example. And then I was going to say, kind of with NBA, so we're talking about all the changes, and change is good, but what are some advice that you would give of how do you manage through kind of a changing world and complexities? And I'm going to go a little quick so I can get a couple more in for everybody. You said I could only do 2 questions, but we're on like 3 now.
World and complexity, it's a very broad question. I think at the end of the day, it's just keeping your customer or your fan at the center of everything that you're doing, and then making sure that all of your strategies are tailored to that. For us, we're focused on growing fandom, growing the game of basketball, and ensuring that as many of our fans have access to our content to engage and watch and view our product. And so, I think just build around your fan, and things will be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Any advice for how leaders can navigate this complexity?
I think just testing everything. I know I've said it like a few times, but it's so important. Have the data drive your decisions, not just your gut. But also, I think understanding how these technologies also are building a better experience for your team members, the people you work with, your organization internally. And so there's a customer benefit, but there's generally also an internal benefit, and those technologies could be spun in different ways.
You know who came up with the taste test, right?
Could it?
Pepsi.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Lord, get me off the stage.
I love you, man. I love you.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. I'll change the subject. For CT. I'll change the subject for you, CT. I'll let you off the hook. I would say the advice I have is get to market quickly. Let your fans or your consumers help you optimize your product. Don't spend too much time on the back end. You've got to test, but test live and adapt as you go. I think that's the only way you can make progress quickly and actually be ahead of the curve versus your competitors.
I agree. Sounds like that's what you guys have been doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. What keeps you up at night?
Oh, so much. Especially right now, I'm up all night. Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of things. You know, I mean, there are plans fall apart. You know, there are macro influences on our businesses. Those keep me up. There are just a number of things that are on the radar.
Right. Well, what I'm happy.
Pepsi.
Yeah. Touche. I know we got 13 seconds. I'm going to just share one thing because what excited me about this conversation here is that your organizations are embracing it, because I think that's been a big shift. And I'll just give a personal example. A good friend of mine from high school came to visit me, and he said, AI is going to take everybody's job. I said, calm down. I said, watch this movie AlphaGo. For those who haven't seen it, it's the original Google AI testing it, right? And they're learning how to play Go. They beat the European champion. He's like distraught. They say, hey, can you actually teach it to go beat the world champion? Gonna go play the world champion. They say, there's no way, human's gonna win, he's gonna win. Everybody's saying, there's a whole news media. First game, pew, he gets wiped out. Second game, pew, wiped out. But in that second game, he played a move called the God move. The computer basically said, if I play this move, I'm definitely gonna win by at least one. Now, Go is a game of capturing territory. So humans are like, I need as much as I can. They never think a win is a win. The computer's like, a win is a win. Third game, pew, wiped out. Fourth game, he wins. You're like, yes, humanity can do it. Fifth game, wiped out. Pew. But what really happened was the game of Go was forever changed, because now they play to at least win by one versus to take all territory. So I think the other piece about not just embracing it is that it's steel, hardened steel. So it knows what we know, and it's actually going to make us even smarter. So to me, I feel like that's very exciting, and I'm glad that your organizations are seeing that. So huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.